Researcher Jorden Wildish, author of the Environmental Tracking Project, has created an online chart that shows nitrogen dioxide emissions in large cities before and after the WHO pandemic declaration. The results: in most US cities, the carbon emission rate fell by anything from 15% in San Francisco to 30% in Los Angeles.
On the US average, it's about a 30% drop in nitrogen dioxide pollution. And so we see those drops as really showing a change in behavior. By collecting and understanding the impacts of our behavior changes on air quality, we can hopefully inform policy going forward that will allow us to rebuild a sustainable economy.
The number of lives saved thanks to the drop in emissions might surpass the number of COVID-19 victims, believes Marshall Berg from the Center on Food Security and the Environment at Stanford University.
The improvements in air quality were quite large. We saw roughly 20 to 30% improvements in air quality in a very short period over China. So my calculation was, conservatively, it could have saved an additional 50,000 lives across China.
However, the slowdown in industrial production levels and lower energy use is just one side of it. Since more people are staying at home, their carbon footprint is diminishing, believes Maya Almaras, an environment specialist from the University of California.
I could definitely see more people continuing to work from home once we have these sort of working practices in place, which could mean an increase in reduced emissions going forward.
Energy efficiency expert Timur Ahmedov says the pandemic has proven how easily millions of people can change their behavior while acquiring new habits, like working remotely and use public transport less.
What we've seen is that if people change their behavior at the same time, the air quality is going to improve significantly. The argument that our actions can hardly affect the environment and that we need at least 50 years to see some change is being proven wrong.
Pandemics have changed the way people view their worlds, says anthropologist Elena Kony.
Campaigns to prevent the spread of tuberculosis in the early 20th century, for instance, began to discourage spitting in the US. And that became something that became culturally ingrained over time. If you take a more recent epidemic, HIV/AIDS, we began changing our behavior in response to that disease quite dramatically. And we began, for a certain generation, they began using condoms more regularly.
What people are seeing now are the speedy results of a forced experiment to cut the carbon emissions across the globe. The question is, will these changes stick once the world opens back up? Maxim Moskalkov for VOA News, Washington.